we will examine is Isaiah 2 verse 3, which in the King James Version reads, "Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." The words from this verse that we will be examining are come, mountain, Lord, God, teach, ways, walk, paths, Zion, law, word, and Jerusalem. The Hebrew behind the word come is halach, literally meaning to walk. The parent root is the word lach, a picture of a staff and a hand. When one takes his staff in hand, he is going to walk, go on a journey. From an Hebraic perspective, there is a literal journey. As nomads, they would journey from watering hole to watering hole, pasture land to pasture land. But life was also seen as a journey, each day being a point in time along that journey. This is not a religious journey, but a lifestyle. Every action, every thought, every decision was a part of that journey. We have previously looked at the word Lord and found it to be the 4 Hebrew letters Yod, He, Vav, and He, usually pronounced as Yahweh, but means He exists. The English word God implies a divine supernatural being, but the Hebrew word Elohim more literally means one of power and authority, a mighty one. This word is used for the God of Israel as the mighty one who has power and authority over Israel, but also for judges as mighty men who have power and authority over the people, or even the gods of other nations who have power and authority over them. The parent root of this word is El, a picture of an ox head and a shepherd's staff. The ox with its horns represents power, while the staff represents authority. Interestingly, modern-day crowns, whose points represent horns, and the scepters of kings and queens are evolved images of these very items. The Hebrew word for a mountain is har. This letter is the letter He, and is a picture of a man with his arms raised, as if to say, look at that. The Hebrew word He is often translated as behold. The resh is the picture of the head of a man. When combined, these two letters mean look at the head. In Hebraic thought, all things are in motion, and a mountain is the head lifting up out of the ground. Mountains are looked for as they are high, visible places that are used as landmarks during one's journey. The Hebrew word for teach is the verb yara, whose parent root is yar. The yod is a picture of a hand, and the resh is a picture of the head of a man. Combined, this root means the hand of man, and means to point, and can be used in a wide variety of ways. In Genesis 46 verse 28, this word means to point out a direction. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph, to point his face toward Goshen. This same verb can also mean shoot, as in pointing an arrow, such as we see in 1 Samuel 20 verse 20. And I will shoot 3 arrows. This word can also mean to instruct or teach in the sense of pointing out the direction one is to go in life. As we read in Exodus 4 verse 15, when Yahweh says to Moses, "And I will teach you what you shall do." We examined the word way previously and found that it was the Hebrew word derech, meaning a trail or path. But it should be noted that this word is written in the plural in this verse, derachim, meaning trails, but is also prefixed by the letter mem, which means from. This is never addressed in the translations of Isaiah 2 verse 3, as they simply read, "And he will teach us his ways." But it more literally should be translated as, "And he will teach us from his trails." Yahweh is not just pointing out the trail we are to take. He is pointing out the directions for our life, and he is on the trail with us. The word walk is the Hebrew verb halach, which we have previously examined. The Hebrew word for paths is orech, meaning a path or trail. It would appear that this word has the same meaning as the word derech, which we previously defined as a path or trail. However, we must remember that each Hebrew word has a more in-depth meaning. The word derech, which we looked at before, is related to taking steps. Orech, on the other hand, has a very different meaning, which we will examine through its root and related words. The parent root is rach, and two other words are derived from this root that will help us find the meaning of orech. The first is arach, a verb meaning to travel a beaten path or to follow a prescribed path. The other is ruach, often translated as spirit, but more concretely means wind. During specific times and specific seasons, the winds follow a regular or prescribed path. Coming back to our parent root, the first letter is the letter resh, representing a man. The second letter is a picture of a wall representing the outside. Combined, these mean a man outside. Remember that the ancient Hebrews were agriculturalists, and during the day they were outside taking care of the livestock. Anyone who has raised livestock knows that they perform better if they are tended to on a regular schedule, and the agriculturalist will follow a regular or prescribed path each day. The wind of Elohim and a path have more in common in Hebrew thought than just both being related to a prescribed path. Ezekiel 36:27 says, "And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and be careful to observe my ordinances." Elohim gives us his wind, which follows a prescribed path, so that we can walk in his path. The name Zion is Tzion in Hebrew. The root of this word is tzi. Notice that again we have the letter tzade. Several words are derived from this parent root, including tzi, meaning a ship, a nomad of the sea, tzia, a desert, and tzii, a beast of the desert. Each of these words are related to the nomadic culture. The literal meaning of Tzion can be found in the following verse. Set up landmarks for yourself. Make yourself guideposts. Consider well the highway, the road by which you went. Landmarks are used to guide one on their journey. For a literal journey, this would be literal landmarks. For a figurative journey, such as in following the Torah of Elohim, this would be the commandments, which coincidentally is the Hebrew word mitzvah, where we again find the letter tzadeh, a picture of a trail. The word mitzvah more concretely means a direction, in the sense of looking for the landmarks to provide you with your direction. In Hebrew, this is the word Torah, derived from the root yara, which we previously examined and found to mean to point, in the context of pointing out a direction to go. Another noun derived from this root is moreh, a teacher, one who points out the way. The word Torah is the teaching of the teacher, or more literally, the way pointed out by the teacher, the journey. When we translate Psalms 1 verse 2 with its literal understanding of Torah, we read, "His delight is in the journey of Yahweh, and in his journey he meditates day and night." Also in Psalms 119 verse 1, "Happy are the mature ones of the trail, the ones walking in the journey of Yahweh." A nomadic journey is a circuit, traveling from pasture land to pasture land, watering hole to watering hole, year after year. Much of the Hebraic lifestyle is related to this circular journey. Even the feasts are a nomadic journey of a circuit. Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles, and back to Passover. The entire Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, are read through the year, and when the end of Deuteronomy is reached, the scroll is rewound and the reading continues with Genesis 1 verse 1. As I mentioned, the verb yara means to point, but is also used in the context of pointing an arrow or shooting an arrow, such as we see in 1 Samuel 20 verse 20. "And I will shoot 3 arrows." The word moreh, which we found meant teacher, is also used for an archer, the one who points the arrow. From this perspective, Torah is the arrow. If the arrow goes off course, it misses the mark, or strays from the path. When we stray from the path, we also miss the mark. The Hebrew word for missing the mark is chata, which is often translated as sin. Interestingly, another word for sin is to trespass, to leave the prescribed path. "And I looked, and behold, you have missed the mark with Yahweh your Elohim. And you made for yourself a molten calf. You quickly turned away from the trail which Yahweh directed you." While the Hebrew word Torah is usually translated as law, interpreting the word Torah as law is about the same as interpreting the word father as disciplinarian. While the father is a disciplinarian, it is a very narrow interpretation. The same is true for Torah. Part of Torah is law, but this is a very narrow interpretation of it. "Your word is a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path." The first thing to note, the word of Elohim guides us on our journey. The Hebrew word for word is davar. This word is related to midbar, the Hebrew word for a wilderness. The parent root of this word is dar, of which several other roots are derived, all having to do with order. Dor is a circle of the life of one generation. In Isaiah 22 verse 18, Dor is a ball, which is a circle. In Hebraic thought, a circle is a sign of order. Adar means to remove what is not needed in order to create order. Sadar, the root of Sidur, a prayer book, and Seder, the Passover meal, means to arrange things in order. Each of these words, Dor, Adar, Sadar, and Davar, are related to order and harmony. The name Yerushalem, or Jerusalem, is a combination of 2 Hebrew words. The first is Yaru, which is derived from Yara, which we earlier found to mean to point. The second is Shalem, related to Shalom. Shalom is usually translated as peace, but this is an abstract Greek definition. The concrete meaning of this word is to be complete and whole. The name Yerushalem means to point out the way to wholeness, and is very descriptive of the Torah. Now that we have examined the words of Isaiah 2 verse 3 from a concrete Hebraic perspective, let us retranslate this passage. Walk, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will point out the way for us from his trail, and we will walk in his road. For out of the landmark shall go forth the teachings and the harmony of Yahweh from Jerusalem. The Torah is not a set of regulations that we are bound to. It is a journey, an adventure that binds us together.